What's going on? G Funky Boxing. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Live with 97 Rough from Leaving in the Ring. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? Another live show. We're putting in the books. So glad to be here.
Yes, it's gonna be a good one too, man. We got a special guest coming on tonight, and it should be fire, man. We already got a few people here in the chat. Round one, Tycho TV. Guys, our guests will be on shortly at the top of the hour. We just wanted to go live a little bit early, talk a little bit about what went down today. I'll ask you, Ruff, what did you think of the final presser today for Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia?
Pretty rough for Gervonta Davis, if you ask me. I don't go too deep in the conferences. Honestly, I haven't watched the press conference in a long time. But this one, I was intrigued because there were so many tweets going out about, the verbal war between the two. And, you got to give it to Ryan. He's a sharp kid. And how he responds back to not just Davis, but to the whole Davis team. He's making them look silly about the rehydration clause, the spies in my camp. That was hard to rebuttal, and it was hard for especially for Tank. You could see like Tank's wheels were spinning in his head, He was just like, how do I answer this? How do I say back? And his only response was that you're a 135 fighter, right? But like Ryan said, if I'm such a non-gifted fighter, why are you so worried about me then? Why all these psychological tactics, and then really honestly, it's a trick out of the bag of Floyd Mayweather. It reminded me when Floyd was trying to get in the head and underneath the skin of Oscar De La Hoya, taking Oscar's gym bag, dancing when Oscar was getting in front of him. But really, for Gervonta Davis, it backfired on him.
Yeah.
It really did, because it made him and his team look silly. And Ellerby, I mean, hey, when is Ellerby going to get in the ring and fight? Because he sure talks like he's a fighter. What's all these weed bullshit? We did this. We didn't do anything. Like, what are you talking about? Al Heyman took Oscar's fucking fighters, not you.
Right.
You're
what fighters do you have besides Tank?
Right. And you were Floyd's spit bucket guy, and now you're Tank Davis's purse holder. Come on. That was ridiculous, man. That was kind of embarrassing,
I agree. It was something. Izzy B. DeVoe, what's up, man? And we also got retro boxing and documentaries, blood boxing. What's going on, man? He says LRB is a buster. Yeah, my man 97 Rough and Blood, they go way back, man. Way back, guys. So yeah, good to see you here, Blood.
We're OGs, as you could tell, man.
I got a little gray too. I thought, it's sprinkled in there.
It's in there. I like that shirt you're wearing, though, bro.
Hey,
you got to throw one down over here, Vato.
Yeah, my wife got this for me today. 39 years fresh today, so she got me a shirt with the channel logo on it. So, yeah,
that's
man.
Right. Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm getting old, bro. But Run PMC's here as well. DJ Mexicano de Tejas. Guys, we got Joel De La Hoya coming on here in just a few minutes. We're just getting you guys warmed up, man. You got to, in the morning, you start that car, you're ready for work. Got to get you warmed up. And I hope you're warm, because guess what? The man is here, ladies and gentlemen. Joel De La Hoya. Let's give him a hand. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problemo.
Oh, man, you're getting the grade too, huh? It looks good. It looks good, hermano.
I started dyeing it. But then it's too much work. It's too much work.
It's too much work, bro. I know. I was doing the same thing.
Clooney look, but I'm not pulling it off. So I just left it. I left it alone. It's not bad.
It looks good. It looks good, bro. I think when you're we're around the same age, we got to learn how to embrace it.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. Although I'm embracing it so much that I've been getting out of bed one piece at a time now. Getting that old, so
Right.
I'm too. But yeah, we're getting up there, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true, man. That's true.
Absolutely, man. So, man, we are here with guys, someone who has been a part of some of the biggest fights in boxing history, man. I mean, you
Ooh,
talk about,
man,
you
man.
talk about De La Hoya Mayweather, De La Hoya Pacquiao, De La Hoya Trinidad, De La
Ooh,
Hoya Chavez. I mean, we go on and on and on, guys.
I
Actually, here's the thing: is Joel actually is part of what really, honestly, I would say, the last era of real boxing in the '90s.
Mhm.
Nowadays it's
I,
kind of like it's watered.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a big fight this weekend. Well,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, a Golden Boy fighter.
yeah,
The presser, little fiery today.
yeah,
give
yeah.
us your thoughts on that.
Saw some of that today. Yeah, they were going at it. You know what though, Ryan? The kid is quick witted. He's
Yeah,
got
he is.
with that left hook, man. He is quick witted. He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah, yeah. It was I gotta say, I wasn't too excited about it,
Right.
just me personally, but after watching the presser today, I got excited. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, this was good. This was good, you
Yeah,
know?
I got a little bit of the my bro versus Vargas vibes. A little bit.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Mayorga. A little bit of that.
Oh,
That
yeah,
got me
yeah.
fired up. So I'm excited, man. I'm
Well,
excited.
especially the way Ellerby came after your
Oh,
brother,
oh,
bro.
yeah.
What was
What's
up
up?
with that?
Yeah, what's up with that, bro? Let us know what's going on there.
I got all this pent up aggression, I guess. I don't know what it is with Leonard, My bro just goes along with it. He keeps his cool. He keeps a cool head. Cool heads always prevail. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, he was throwing a couple little jabs at him. But my bro, he's pretty quick with it as well. So I mean, he said he didn't lie. He laid out the facts.
Right.
Yeah.
So on my end over here, I mean, because I see my bro getting into it with someone else or someone trying to badmouth him, I get offended, right?
Right.
As his older brother,
Yeah.
but then I'm thinking to myself, I go, this guy's one of the biggest promoters out there. He's I think he can handle himself pretty good. So
Yeah.
he did pretty good for himself.
Yeah, I would say so. And like a comment in the chat here from Retro Boxing Documentary says Ellerby was never a fighter. No.
No, 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 no,
And let's
no.
stop the tough guy act, Leonard.
Yeah,
All right.
he knew Oscar wasn't gonna get up and try to start anything. Oscar was keeping his composure like he's supposed to as a promoter, and
Mm-hmm.
he's selling the fight. That's what he's doing. And Leonard's doing the same thing. They're doing their jobs, right?
I
Yep.
thought
But I
this.
think he took it a little more personal.
Right, because I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, Ellerby's going out there. He's
Yeah.
trying to sell the fight.
Yeah.
But then after the press conference, when he went and sat down with Brian Campbell and the other guys, he kept going. And
Did
he just kept going and talking like personal shit about Oscar. And even said, me and Floyd never liked the guy. We still don't like the guy. And I was just like, damn, bro. I kind of feel some underlying jealousy there.
Oh, that's pretty unhealthy.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why you want to live your life that way. Hating people and despising people and if there's jealousy behind it, I mean, it's a form of flattery, yeah, but that's not the way to live your life. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
oh, you go along with it, yeah, of course. It's part of the show, part of the attraction. That's fine. But yeah, when you keep adding fuel to the fire, like you just said with the other guy with Campbell, yeah, it's almost it turns you off. It really does.
So this leads me to one of my questions. I'm gonna ask a question really quick, okay, G Funk?
Oh, go ahead, right ahead. Go right ahead.
Let me ask you this, Well, who
You cut off there for a second. What was that?
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because as we know, us Mexicanos, we could hold grudges, bro, for like until our deathbed, right?
Yeah.
We could really do that. Who for you has really rubbed you in the boxing world where it's unforgiven what they've said about either your brother or even about your dad?
Hmm. It's a good one. I never thought about that.
Yeah, oh shit, there's a lot of them.
I mean, one that sticks out
Yeah.
Is Mayorga. You know,
Yeah.
he got personal. I mean, he
Right.
brought in family and manhood and all this other stuff. And, you know, with Vargas, again, you know, you're selling the fight and he's trying to be this tough guy. Mayorga, you know, again, you know, he's a showman, but he made it a little personal. But, I mean, as far as anyone else outside of it, you know, or in the industry, you know, I tend to just go along with the flow because I know what's behind all that BS. And I really don't take it personal, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, that Mayorga, yeah, when he started talking about his kids and, you know, again, his manhood and his wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that struck a nerve.
Yeah, that was really
my son at the time, he was a kid. He was maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. After the fight, he wanted to get up to the ring so bad and congratulate his uncle for beating Mayorga's ass. Okay, if you see the fight afterwards, you see a little kid go up. That's my son.
That's
He's 27
crazy.
now. Yeah, he's 27 years old now.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my follow-up question to that right there is this. There was a lot of stuff written about your father, about how strict he was and, you know, how overbearing. But was there any, like, was the light true of what people were writing about your father? Or were there things really kind of like over the top and maybe not too much of what they were portraying him?
But they were writing about him back in the day?
Yes.
Back in the day? Okay. I mean, he was,
Mhm.
I mean, because I'm older. I started boxing before my brother did. So
Right.
he used to push me as well. I mean, hard, right?
Right.
He was almost in a sense kind of living through us.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that I realize, you know, as a father, I'm older. You know, I'm thinking, you know, there was a method behind the madness. Obviously,
Right.
look what he accomplished, right?
Right.
I mean, it's incredible what he accomplished. But as kids, you don't understand that. You don't get it. You know, you think they're just bugging the crap out of you, and you almost to a point you don't like your parents growing up. You know,
Right.
and then you know you become a father and you realize that they're doing it for your own good. You know, but sometimes you just don't understand as kids. And yeah, he used to push us. He used to push my brother big time, but not to the point where I mean, it was like super mandatory. You have this is your life. This is what you're gonna do. The thing is, my brother had a gift. You know, he had a
Right.
gift, and my dad used to fight as a professional. He was a pro,
Right. Right.
Mexico.
Along with your right.
Dad fought at the Olympic maybe a couple of times. That's what he said. I haven't researched it, but he told us he fought at the Olympic auditorium.
Right.
But you know, he knows boxing. Our grandfather used to fight, so we have
Right.
some used to fight. So it's in the blood, and he saw that in us. But when he saw my brother, this scrawny little kid, you know, able to handle himself at that tender young age that he was, and as scrawny and as tiny that he was, and um, you know, Oscar would claim, I to be honest, I never saw this, but he said he'd get bullied as a kid, and I see why, because he was a smaller kid in the
Mhm.
neighborhood, and maybe my dad, you know, was kind of egging him on so he can protect himself, right, as a form of protection and self-defense and what have you. But that just turned into, man, this kid has something. You know, this guy is talented.
Right.
Got some great skills, and we'd go to the gym. You know, Oscar would follow me to the gym. Uh, and then we come back. My dad be home from work, and he'd work with us at home with his hands. You know, he didn't have mitts. We didn't have mitts.
Right.
So he'd use his hands, you know, as pads, and he really instilled, you know, the I think what Oscar would say now, you know, if it wasn't for boxing, he wouldn't be where he's at now, and he'll
Right.
tell you, yeah, I mean, it was a you know lesson learned from back then, but yeah, it was maybe like you said, maybe a little overbearing. It could have been at times,
But
but
do you think because I mean, let's think about this. In the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, like
Yeah.
when Oscar came out for, you know, in the 90s, especially for a guy like me, Mexican American, but grew up in the roots of my parents were from Mexico and my grandparents. Do you think the Anglo media didn't really understand the traditional, like our fathers are just, they're a different breed.
Yeah.
They're not men of many words, and they don't like to repeat themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, but our father wasn't the disciplinarian, which is ironic, right?
Right.
But he gave you that look, and you knew, hey, whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, plácate, cabrón, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Our mom was more she's the one with the chancla and
right.
Yeah, but that was just the way it was back then. You get in trouble for that kind of stuff nowadays, right?
Right.
But and we weren't abused. We weren't. It was just you got a spanking here and there, whatever. But we got out of line. It is what it was. Again, we're not going to do that kind of stuff nowadays. Maybe some kids may deserve it, but we just don't go there, And but our dad was. He just gave you that look, and you knew right away that whatever stuff you're doing, you cut it out right away, or your mom's gonna throw the chancla at you. But he was really into us, because I played baseball as well, and he played baseball as a semi-pro. And when I stopped boxing, I was about 7 when I started. Oscar was about 5.5, 6. So I stopped at around 15, but I was playing baseball. My dad was pushing me towards baseball because he knew I had some skills, I had some talent, and so he would support us. To me, I think it's more support, right?
Right.
He supports you. He's backing you up. He's really pushing you, and because he sees something in you, and he saw something in us. We just saw it differently as kids.
See, that's what the media to me was missing. Like they would leave that part out as a loving, supportive father. When they would write things about your dad, or like, because I've got a lot of, there was a few books written about Oscar that weren't, approved by you guys.
Right.
And they always gave you like this really dark figure, like this guy was Darth Vader of boxing, and, you should be afraid of this vato. And, and I was just like, what the hell, man? I'm like, everything I was reading about, I'm like, hey, Abuelito, they're talking about you again, It's like, that was my grandfather, 100%.
It wasn't that big. Maybe could have, gotten more hugs. Maybe they could have. I love you, son. A little more. But that's the way they grew up.
Right.
It was. They showed love. In a different way. It was almost offstandish, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Like they wouldn't, in a sense, show no emotion. You accomplish something in school, and it's like, okay, that's nice. But as kids, you always want to, get that affirmation from your parents.
Absolutely.
I think that's what Oscar was looking for. I'm a different breed. I was like, whatever. It didn't really bother me. It bothered him a little bit more than it did me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great stuff, man. And man, I could ask you so many questions about the past, because Oscar is just a legend, and you growing up with him, being his brother and stuff. But I want to fast forward to the present. I want to ask you about this fight coming up here on Saturday. Now, there's a lot of hardcore fans like myself that are on the fence about it, because both of these guys are still kind of, relatively unproven, no belt on the line.
Yeah.
But like I said today, that final presser did get me excited, seeing the way that they were going back and forth and stuff. But you've been a part of some of the biggest, like I said, some of the biggest promotions in the sport's history.
Yeah.
How does this one rank among the? Does it have that big fight feel like some of those fights that your brother was involved in back in the day?
Today it did. Back when we were doing our thing, we were doing, multi-city tours, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was big. That was huge. We're doing 3, 4, 5 cities in one day, throughout the country. I think they did New York, obviously they did LA. But this feels more, I wish I could have been there to experience it, I'm talking about today.
Right.
But I don't think anything is going to compare to the heydays of my brother and the 90s, the 80s era of boxing, when there was huge buildups, and we didn't have all this social media, so the word got out, like wildfire. It got out, and you know what? It just seems like, you know, there was something missing throughout. I know Golden Boy was pushing it. I'm not sure. I think Showtime may have been pushing it somewhat as well. But yeah, I think today just, you know, kind of solidified like, okay, you know, I mean, yeah, there's a big fight this Saturday. And like you said, you know, it's a non-title fight. You know, there's a catch weight involved.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, with us, it was, you know, it was all or nothing. We had a title on the line. You know, there were always big fights. You know, we always had the press tours, and the press tours for us at times they were almost as big as a fight because you had
Right.
people showing up, which was
Yeah.
incredible itself, right? Um, but yeah, today there was flashes of that. You know, I wish there could be more. I think it could be a trend now, hopefully, with these two young, hungry, undefeated fighters going at it. Um, you know, it could wake up the other lions and say, man, you know, I want some of that. You know, I want to be part of this legacy.
Yeah, we hope for that
Yeah,
because you know, as the fanatics that we are, you know, we want those kind of fights where there's belts on the line and there's, you know, it's a close competitive matchup.
yeah,
We get tired of the mismatches that we've been getting a
yeah,
lot these days, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, we let's hope that it does start a trend, you know. Will you be there Saturday night?
No, you know what? It's gonna be a beautiful day here, and I'm here in Pasadena, so I'm gonna probably throw some carne asada on the grill, and you know,
That's the
Ah,
way to do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'll be doing the same,
so
man. I'll be watching in my backyard.
earlier today if I was gonna be out there. And I said, you know, I'd been there, done that. You know, I think I was just gonna chill for this one, watch it at home, a little more comfortable. Support through the pay-per-view. You know, you have to support. I know some people, you know, complain about the prices and what have you. I mean, this is boxing. I mean,
Right.
people complain about, you know, fights not being made. This fight's being made. Now they're complaining that it's too high. If you think about it, you know, $90 or whatever it is, you know, I think if it's the zone and you're a subscriber or member, it's a little less. But I mean, if you go to Vegas, you're spending, you know, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Oh
What the
Yeah.
hell?
yeah.
You know, a couple $100s on some beers and, you know, some grub and paying for the event. You know, and you're supporting the cause as well. If you're really a fan, there you go.
Yeah, I purchased it. I purchased the fight through Showtime
Okay.
because I'm gonna watch it outside with my family, and I got, you know, I got the cable box hooked up out there, so it's
Of
just easier to do than the
course.
DAZN app, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go, man. This presser today really got to me, and I felt
Yeah.
I
I
started to
like.
get that big fight feel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the same feeling, man. Yeah.
I saw that your primo, who also you managed, right?
Yeah.
Diego's fighting
Yeah. Yeah.
at
He's
the end of the month. Yeah.
next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting another Golden Boy fighter, undefeated kid. This is what I would call a make it or break it fight for Diego.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of shit or get off the pot for him. Uh,
Hmm.
but he is so fired up. He's in great shape. You know, he came out to LA, got some really good sparring. Took him out to Freddie Roach's Wildcard Gym and a couple other places, and he got some really good work. And yeah, he's fighting this kid Victor Morales, undefeated kid. I believe
Hmm.
he's what is he? 15-0, 16-0, something like that. Diego's 21-1. He's got
Right.
that lone loss against Ronnie.
Ronnie Reels.
Yeah.
Mm.
And shit, I'd love to get that rematch.
I
If
was going to ask you that right now, man. I mean, let me ask you how.
we have to get by Victor Morales first, right? You know, he's
Right.
Yeah,
a young
Right.
lion as well. So I mean, Diego's not that old either. You know, he's hitting his prime. He's 27, so
Okay.
like right in his prime or hitting his prime. So you know, he's a smart kid. He's a really smart fighter, and I expect it to be a really good fight, really exciting fight. I think Diego can shine. He can really make this a really fun attraction for sure. He's going to be the co-main event, by the way. Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to ask some questions now about some of these big fights from the past, you know, because me being the hardcore fan that I am, you know, I watched them all, man.
Okay.
But I want to
You
ask one
still
about
do.
one specific one, man, that
Oh.
I remember when I was a kid, because I watched your brother. I discovered him through the Olympics, obviously, as most of us did, you know, with the story
Right.
of your mother passing away, and then Oscar continuing to go through the Olympics and then winning gold.
Right.
Um, I remember watching him fight on undercard. I think it was Carbajal Gonzalez, which was a pay-per-view. And then he fought a few times on like Wide World Sports, ABC, back when they used to show fights on network television.
Yep.
But I remember the
Channel 9 ones, I think, too. The KT, no, what is it? KTTV, KTLA, one of those. Channel 9 here in LA.
Yeah. It was a
Angelo.
different time.
Yeah.
It was a different time back then. But I want to ask about the first pay-per-view that your brother was a headliner against Ruelas. Now, I remember watching Ruelas fight on a lot of Don King undercards because I was a big Chavez fan as well at the time. And I was like, man, this guy is a dangerous fighter, man. He got punching power,
Wait,
you know?
Audio went out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Buffering.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you're back.
Go for it now. Go for it now, G.
Don King.
Yeah. I watched a lot of Don King pay-per-views, and I remember seeing Ruelas on a lot of those undercards. Yeah. And then when your brother was going to fight him on a pay-per-view, I was nervous for Oscar because I was seeing him, and again, I think I was only like maybe 10 years old or something at the time. You know, I was still young, but I was like, man, this is gonna be a tough fight. And then Oscar just blew him away. Like, what was that like watching him on the big stage like that and just blowing him away?
Well, when we first found out we were gonna be fighting him, he had a fight. Relis had a fight. And I think it was that one fight he lost. I think he had one loss when he fought us, and it was that one loss where he lost track of the count. He was looking at Joe Goosen. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And he was on his knee, and he was just looking at Joe Goosen, and then by the time the ref
counted him out,
got counted out. But what I saw in Relas though is that I go, damn, this guy can crack. Yes. He's got funky, leg
right.
or lack thereof, if you will, almost like a newborn giraffe, with the little legs, and but boy, can he crack! He can hit, right?
Right.
Tall, lanky, rangy, and a funky style, very funky, side to side action, but he can hit. But when we were training for a fight, I mean, we didn't really, consider records at the time, or who's always going to go, or we were about, man, let's make the best fights, and at that time, obviously Rafael Relas, one of the great Mexican fighters, was on the chopping block, if you will, and and that's kind of sad I say that, but yeah, I mean now I can say that. Back then I would not say that, but I mean, yeah, when the whole vibe, the whole ambiance, was outdoors, Caesar's Palace. That's the evening that Gabriel Relas fought too. Remember that kid ended up passing away.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of somber, but sweet. And yeah, it was just a fun crowd and exciting time, for boxing. And I would always get nervous before a fight. I'd be in the dressing room. I'd be nervous. I'd be like, shit, could we turn back? Maybe just go home. I don't know. I can go through with this. I seen my brother up there, getting hit, because there's nothing I can do about it, right? So I couldn't defend them. But I had so much, trust and faith in his abilities that, anyone that came, as an opponent, we took him. We gladly took him, because that was the only way you were going to leave, mark in the sport. Your legacy was going to be created through fighting the best fighters in your era, in your weight division. Well, obviously went up weight classes, but at that point, Relas was, he was a beast. He was
dangerous, man, and like
he was. Yep.
Yeah, and I can just remember being so nervous right before the first bell rang, and then Oscar hits him with a good left hook, and he was hurt, never really recovered, to be quite honest with you. Now that I watch it, that I'm older, and like I went from nervous to like, yeah, he's getting him, he's gonna get him out of there.
Yeah, he started because we had a game plan, obviously, kind of stay on the outside, stick and move, because he couldn't, his footwork, Relis's footwork wasn't that great. It wasn't the best.
Yeah.
So we could get him in that way where we can lose them and then catch them coming in or what have you, and that's what Oscar did. And I love that little bump that he did. I don't know if you remember that little shoulder bump, and then he crossed him with the right and the left hook, and that's when he dropped. Beautiful little bump. And yeah, after that, it was like just a matter of time. And Joe did the right thing. I think was it Joe that stopped it or the ref? I don't remember if it was a ref or Joe Goosen that stopped it.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good stoppage. I don't think Joe complained anyhow if he had stopped it or not.
No.
But yeah, I think it would have been it would have ended up I guess pretty bad for Relis because he was taking all of Oscar's shots.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and
Oscar
this was
was hitting him at will. And,
yeah,
and it was a great stoppage. It was a great fight. We and he became world champion that night. It was an awesome moment for Oscar and for the family and for the team.
It was really cool to see that because that was like for me the first time I seen a fighter go from the Olympics, winning gold, and then gradually going up the ranks.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, it was like my first time seeing a fighter go from the Olympics winning gold and then working his way up to a world title. So really good memory for me. Obviously, now I want to ask you about the buildup to the Julio Cesar Chavez first fight. Now, I can't I hate this rivalry, man, but we know it's there, right? The Mexican versus the Mexican American Chicano rivalry that we have.
Right.
And that was on full display with this fight. We had again the Golden Boy, the Olympic gold medalist, and then we had El Gran Campeón Mexicano, who was, over the hill a little bit at the time, but everybody still believed in him,
Age, and you look at the guys nowadays, look at like a Terrence Crawford, look at Errol Spence.
Right.
Same age Chavez was, and Chavez only had one loss at the time. You know? So had to do
let us know.
Kid fighting a young kid.
Oscar,
he was young as well.
So I want to know how intense was that promoting that fight, and then the night of the fight was it just crazy, or was it just another day at the office for you guys?
No, well, the fight in itself was unbelievable. The whole promotion was respectful. There was no bad mouthing. We did a nationwide tour. Did New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami. I think we went to Mexico as well. We were all over the place, and it was nothing but respect on both sides for both teams. But we were just in awe that we're fighting, one of our idols.
Right.
That in itself was like, just unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you guys remember, Oscar sparred him when he was a kid.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Oscar trained,
and Shane Mosley, right, was there.
Well, Shane was there, Pepper Riley was there, and my brother. And Chavez was training for I believe it was the first Maldrick Taylor fight. It was at the Azteca Gym here in, I believe it's Southgate. And it was, Oscar was, I think, 16 at the time. They made him wear these big old, they looked like they were pillows, to be honest. And Chavez was wearing his normal sparring gloves. I think they were 14-ounce gloves. And you can see Oscar, how wiry and that fire in him coming out and boxing beautifully and tagging him. But Chavez goes, no, kid, none of that.
Getting a little too excited, huh?
Drops him with the little right hand to a knee. He went down to a knee, came back up, sprung back up, and they went at it. I think they did. I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 rounds, and that's what he. With all the other kids, with Shane and with Pepe, I think they went 3 rounds each, something like that. It was for the media, to kind of promote the fight and what have you. And so I think Roberto Alcazar, Oscar's coach at the time, is the one that set it up. He talked to his lawyer. I guess they knew each other, and he goes, "Hey, I got these kids, that could give Chavez some really good work, and some good exposure for them, and get him ready for the speed that he's going to see against Malik Taylor." And that's how I got set up. But that's how, from that moment on, it's like we never thought that, we were going to confront him again or meet him, in the professional level. We thought maybe be retired by then. And no, let me put it this way: we never thought Oscar was going to turn pro after the Olympics. We thought that was it because he was promised our mother the gold medal right before he passed away, and that was it. You know, he had some very nice accolades throughout his amateur career, but once he promised that gold medal to our mother, you know, there was nothing stopping him. But to be honest, we thought that was going to be it. But then you win the gold medal, you're the gold medalist for the United States, and then the offers start coming in.
Right?
Like,
maybe I will turn pro.
Why not? Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Who was it more hard for when the Mexican fans still didn't want to embrace Oscar? Was it harder on your dad or was it harder on Oscar?
That's a good question. Because you're right. The Mexicans. You know what? I would say the Mexicans from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a lot of support. But you get, you know, the Chicanos from the States that were, you know, on the fence,
right?
Or they're backing their idol in Chavez,
right?
But yeah, there was a lot of bad mouthing, you know, from certain factions. But I think the Mexicanos from Mexico, you know, there was a lot of support. But yeah, I think Oscar didn't understand the backlash he was getting from the Latinos or the Chicanos here in the States. He goes, I'm one of you guys, man. You know what's going on,
right?
But you have to understand. I mean, it's freaking Chavez, man. You know.
I know, yeah. I mean, the fight was on a closed caption, you know, and I was there for the closed caption.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm there, man. And as soon as they stopped it, I mean, the whole place, and because you know, I watched it I'm from San Jose, California.
Yeah.
So we had like this arena out there in downtown, and I tell you, bro, that whole screen was just watered down with cervezas. Everybody was pissed, bro. People, hey, if you had an Oscar De La Hoya shirt on, you better take it off right away. That's how pissed off people were. And I was like, yeah, I was like clapping. And my brothers all, sit down, cabron. We're going to get our asses kicked, eh?
and who were the majority of the fans? Latinos, right? Chicano.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's all you saw were nothing but brown faces in that place, you know? I mean, but again, I wonder, like, did it take a toll on your, because I mean, your dad's, you know, Mexicano, like, did he like accept it? Was he like, that's just the way that our people are? Or did that bother him more than anything?
I think he went with it, kind of, you know, rolled with the punches, if you will. He, you know, again, he's the kind of person that really doesn't show too much emotion. He doesn't really, he's a man of few words, but when he speaks, you know, you better listen. But, you know, I'm sure, you know, as a Mexicano, you know, when your son's getting tore up left and right from, you know, some Mexicanos and then the Chicanos, Latinos, you know, I'm sure it, you know, somewhere in him, it did bother him. You know, he never really, you know, showed us or told us. To us, it was just another day in the office. We had to get to work.
Right.
We had a job to do, right? We had to train our asses off to you know, try to dethrone, you know, one of the best fighters Mexico has ever produced. Right. And yeah, so my dad would show up. He'd be at camp, and you know, and he'd be obviously, you know, supporting my brothers, supporting us, and Cholain Rivero, el profesor, was our coach at the time. He was working alongside Roberto Alcazar, and you know, they would, you know, we would you know, talk you know, strategy, and my dad would give his input, and you know, obviously myself, and then Cholain's the one that came up with that extended, you know, defense style and boxing from the side. Beautiful game plan. And but to be honest, if it bothered him, you know, if it perturbed him or not, it didn't. He didn't show it. He didn't let us know, because we had a job to do, right? And he didn't do anything messing with Oscar's psyche. And once you're in camp, you know, we're like, shit, you know, we're working. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, we're away 3 months at a time. And that, although there was this one time that there was this car. We were in camp, and we had a couple bodyguards. They would, when we used to have open public workouts on weekends, for the fans to come in, Oscar would sign autographs, take pictures. It was really cool. So we had a couple guys, kind of standing guard, and a car had driven by a couple times around the block, and they gave one of the guys a note telling Oscar to be careful.
Oh shit!
Oh boy!
Careful. It ended up being some people from Sinaloa. I'm not sure if they were cartels.
Right.
Some people are saying they were cartel. Sure, but there was, that was a threat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's how hardcore these fans were.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Backing, I mean, he still does. It's amazing, the love and adoration he has up until now.
Right.
He's he's one of the best. But yeah, that was kind of a weird moment there. But other than that, it was you get both sides, but I think it leaned more towards the support, from the fans, and that's sided with anyways. You'd hear some chatter here and there, but I mean you got a job to do.
Absolutely.
Can't let anything distract you.
Yeah.
I got one follow up, and then I'll pass it over to my my co-host, Robert Algazar, man. I love the guy. I thought he was a phenomenal trainer. Let me ask you this, because in my opinion, in my circle of friends that were all around the same age, watched Oscar from the beginning in the Olympics and everything, and then he comes out as pro with Robert. I've always felt Robert was the best trainer for him. Everything kind of went a little south after he left. Why did that breakup happen? Like, what was the real reason behind Robert?
My dad and Roberto used to work together, so that's how I knew him. So he used to train him as an amateur. He came in. He went to Spain with us when for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the relationship started. So when he turned pro, my dad, the first choice was Roberto. And it was a great marriage up until it lasted, right?
Right.
I think he took Oscar to where he could at that point. I only say that because, and I've seen Roberto, work with other fighters. I'll give you an example. Munguia is one of them.
Right. I mean, Munguia.
He tried to implement the same style that he had with Oscar on Munguia. Munguia is not that on your toes type of box.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons, they let Roberto go. And when Roberto was with us, I mean, everything was working, to a T. I mean, we're winning. Great fight. The camp, was great. I mean, we had a small team. We didn't have big old entourage, and it was myself, the kid Joe that used to help us out around camp, Roberto, and another guy that used to kind of just watch out for the camp and what have you, kind of like a bodyguard. But yeah, it was a small camp, and when there was a change, it came by because of Top Rank.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of influence. They actually implemented strength and conditioning. We never had strength and conditioning coaches until they brought them in, and that was foreign to us. It's like, what the hell? We're old school. We're old school,
right?
And a lot of the stuff, we just didn't see eye to eye, with the stuff they were doing. It wasn't boxing related, right? And that's what we had to focus on. But anyhow, with Roberto, he did what he could do to a certain point, and then that's when Jesus Rivero came on board, and this was through Top Rank, Bob Arum, and maybe I think it was Bruce Trampler as well. They had some input in that, and Roberto didn't like him. He did not like him. Yeah, he did not like. I mean, we hit it off right away.
Right.
He was a great teacher. A teacher. Not too many of those guys out there. This guy was a teacher. You got a lot of coaches, but he was a teacher, and not just boxing. We talk about philosophy, about religion, politics, and obviously boxing. But he was just a great person all around person too. And then we'd have a couple beers, once in a while. So he was cool in that sense too.
Yeah.
After have a little and kind of just go over the day's workout and what have you, and work over the plan. And but such a great guy. But there was this training, media workout for, I believe it was a Chavez fight, and Rivero was kind of in the background. The gym. We had a converted garage. It was a gym, and someone, I guess, recognized him, and they'll say, "Hey, what's Jesus Rivero, doing out, in the corner over there?" And then Roberto, this is what pissed me off. He goes, "Oh, he's our what do you call him? Our barrendero, like janitor, cleans the gym," and that upset me. That upset me.
Yeah.
And but I mean, you saw the fight. I mean, from fighting on his toes, which was Oscar. That was Oscar's style, right? When he got on his toes, oh man, watch out, be careful, because you just don't know what's coming.
Right.
It was so quick in that sense. But then with Chavez, it was more methodical. I mean, yeah, with Cholain, a little more methodical, right? A little more of a thinking man's game. Setting up punches, and he did it beautifully. He had a beautiful game plan against Chavez.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It worked to a T. It
really broke my heart too, man.
That jab of Oscar, bro, it's just, God, I don't think we'll ever see that again.
I was watching Miguel Angel Gonzalez and Oscar.
Yeah.
Great fight.
That jab was just unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's another fight that all kinds of Mexicanos got pissed off about. My whole household, bro, were pissed because Oscar kept throwing the goddamn jab, and my grandfather was like, "No quiere perder. He's only throwing the jab." I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, that's boxy, bro.
That's a part of the game."
His head was on a swivel that night.
Oh yeah, dude. He embarrassed him.
Yeah. Oscar had a ridiculous run at that time.
He was tough. Yeah. No, he had a great run. Yeah. I think he fought some killers, man, that year. He had like 5 defenses or 5-6 big fights with big name.
Yeah.
I think undefeated fighters too. Miguel Angel Gonzalez, Corte, and there was Trinidad. I think there was David Camacho too. It was just crazy.
Obakar, Pernell Whitaker. Jesus Christ.
Obakar, one of the guys that, if he fought today, he probably could have been a world champion. But he went up back then, in Trinidad and Oscar, and they kind of slowed him down. But he was one of those unsung heroes, man. He was a great fighter, to be honest.
Obakar was. What was going on in that fight too with Oscar? He kept complaining about something personal going on with him.
He hurt his hand.
Oh, he hurt his hand. Okay.
I don't remember. I think it may have been his shoulder. No. It was his right hand. If you remember, he drops him. He stops him with the same right hand.
Right.
He just threw a Hail Mary. He goes, fuck it. He just threw it. I think it was the right hand that he dropped him with. Yeah, it was the same hand he had hurt. And he had problems almost from the beginning of his career, of his his pro career. He first hurt his hand when we fought Troy Dorsey. I don't know if you guys remember Troy.
Yeah, I remember Troy. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he used to be a Taekwondo champion, or I don't know, converted boxer. Tough guy.
Really tough guy. Yes.
Big ass head though, man.
Yeah, it did, bro.
Cinder block head, man.
They didn't make hats for that, Vato. I tell you that.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah.
Back of it and just let it sit on his head, man. Yeah. But that's where he hurt his hand initially. Okay. From that fight on. Yeah.
Since we talked about Obakar, now this is something I've always wanted to ask somebody that was close to Oscar. If I couldn't ever ask him himself.
No, he's not going to date you, bro. Okay.
Oh, man. But the build up to the Trinidad fight, in my opinion, is still one of the best in boxing history. I feel like that was one of the best promoted fights. Those guys were on a collision course at welterweight.
Yeah.
And they collided at the right time, and it broke the record for pay-per-views for a non-heavyweight title fight. I was a big Trinidad fan, right?
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, he's a great fighter, man.
I was rooting against him that night, but I was always a fan.
I want to ask this question because we all know the fight ended controversially, right? I think
Yeah.
majority of fight fans think Oscar won.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I thought he won. I thought he won.
Yeah.
I want to ask this
I'll be
now.
honest.
I know the game plan was obviously to keep Oscar on the outside and keep
Yeah.
Trinidad resetting because
Yeah.
he's a power
Turn-
puncher,
turn-
you know?
Turning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turning.
I was thinking to myself, man, after watching that fight, I don't know how many times, why wasn't the game plan to try to test Trinidad's chin early? Because he had already been down at least 6 times early in fights. And I was always thinking to myself before the fight, Oscar might drop him early with a left hook because he's always gets hurt early and then comes back. Was
He's
that ever in the game
got
plan to try to sit down on a left hook early?
no. No, I mean, if he were to set it up, yes, boxing him and coaxing him in or catching him, in little spurts, what have you. You got to remember, this guy had a killer left hook, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
a
did.
crisp left hook that'll knock out a damn horse. He can hit, and that was our main concern, the left hook. And the only way to get hit with that big left hook is if you're engaging with him, right? And out of respect too for Trinidad and his power, that was the game plan, from the get go. But I mean, those last couple rounds, 3 rounds, if anyone did ever pay attention or follow instructions, and you always want your fighter to follow instructions, for that last part of the fight, Clancy tells Oscar,
Yeah.
box him, just box him, move.
Right.
And he followed instructions to a T. I'm hoping he would have just continued to what he was doing in the first half of the fight, and we wouldn't be in this situation with the controversy. But the only controversy that I see is that, yeah, I mean, maybe he didn't close the show like he should have.
Right.
But to be honest, I thought he won the fight, albeit pretty close, but I thought he pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad was surprised himself when he got, when they called his name.
Yeah, they did. He was really surprised.
We were like, what the hell? What just happened?
Right.
And we realized that, yeah, maybe those last three rounds of
So I want to follow up now because I know myself and my co-host, we know what it feels like when we see our favorite fighter lose for the first time.
Yeah.
But we're talking with you now. You're Oscar's brother. You're there. You're seeing him train. What was that feeling like after the fight was over and you're like, we lost? Like, how did that feel after the fight?
How was the drive home? That's what he was asking. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we still had a little after party afterwards. It was, I mean, to us it wasn't like, oh shit, we lost our undefeated record.
Right.
No, I mean we got the bad end of the stick. We got shorted by a decision that should have gone our way. That's the way we saw it, and we let it go, to be honest. We got back right back on the horse, and we went up against Coley, another tough kid out of New York.
Yeah.
And Oscar disposed of him like nothing had ever happened. He busted him up. But I mean, yeah, it bugs the shit out of you. Yeah, you lost a fight. You trained your ass off, and then you lose it. Because the judges thought that you threw it away in the last couple rounds, and we obviously didn't see it that way. We thought, and Oscar, he says it too in some interviews. Or I think in the ring during the interview, he goes, "Yeah, I gave him a boxing lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which I thought he did. At least the first 7-8 rounds. Then it kind of started. The pressure started kind of or Tito started applying a little more pressure, and Oscar started moving a little bit more. And that's when Clancy says, "You know what? Just move, kid. You got the fight.
Right.
And I just wish that he didn't listen to Kill Clancy at that time.
No. Hey, does Clancy take any responsibility for that loss? Did you ever retract that? Go like, man, I shouldn't have said that to Oscar.
He wasn't the one in the ring, man. Oscar's the one that's gonna get the shit,
Yeah. I blame Clancy, bro. I don't care what anybody says. I blame him.
No one's getting shit for Oscar.
Oh, so Hoyle, this has been great, man. We got to get you back on again because again, we could talk for hours and hours about all these fights, man. But I want to ask you a question about something that I've always wanted to hear from someone in a camp of a fighter. Now, your brother fought Fernando Vargas in 2002, and then he had a rematch with Mosley, I
Yeah.
believe, not maybe that same year or the year after. But
could have been after, yeah.
Yeah, they were close. They were close together. Now your brother won one and then lost one. I felt like he beat Shane that night in the
Yeah.
rematch.
Yeah, I did too.
Plus,
But
he was on that clear or whatever. So,
well, that's what I was going to ask about. Both of those guys were admitted to taking. Well, Vargas tested dirty after the fight, and then years later, Shane admitted to taking EPO for that fight against Oscar.
Yep.
What was the feeling like when you guys got that news, especially with Vargas? Because that came right away. Right away, the news came, and then the Shane Mosley fight. The reports came out a few years later. What was the feeling like with you guys?
Violated, because we're clean. We're as clean as they come, man. We're old school. Just train your asses off, man. Get your road work in the morning, eat right. Bust your ass in the gym. Our dad he was the type of guy that wanted a shitload of sparring, right? At least 120 rounds per camp, if it was a 12-round fight. And that's old school thinking. But we used to go by that. We used to do that at times. And yeah, so we're busting our ass, or he's busting his ass and doing what he's supposed to be doing. And then we thought we won the fight.
Right.
I thought he won the fight. And then you hear this crap coming out about him being, testing positive for all that bullshit. And yeah, you feel violated, man. You feel like, these guys are just trying to get whatever edge to, get one up on my brother. And you almost feel offended. Right. Man. This is it's supposed to be a gentleman's sport. But yeah, it sat very, very, nasty with me. And even to this day, when I see Shane, I call him Shane Mosley, not Shane.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
He knew what he knew what he was taking. When they say, "Oh, I didn't know what I was taking," my nutritionist, was giving me bullshit. That's
right. I've had him on a few times, and we've talked about that, and yeah, I mean,
did he say that he didn't know what he was taking?
He didn't want to get too much into it. What the discussion was, because at the time, we were cracking down a lot on PEDs, right. But he was just saying, really it's the fault of strength and conditioning coach coming into the fight game.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said, man. Yep. Blame it on everyone. As a professional athlete, you have to know exactly what's going into your body.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, they're bullshitting you. They're lying to you, because, we know everything we were taking. We had to disclose, whatever foods, whatever supplements. There's a list, and you have to disclose everything you take. And we had, and he knew what was going on. But I mean, it is, it's a shame for him. But it just it sucks for Oscar, because that should have been a win on his record.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
And I almost feel like we should have known with Vargas, because he wasn't always the most like cut up and ripped body like he had against your brother. I mean, I remember when we seen him take off his robe. I was like, holy shit, this dude trained his ass off for this fight. Turns out he was on juice.
I remember we were the day of the weigh-in.
Uh-huh.
We're on stage, and it's it's packed. It's a huge turnout, and we're on the stage. Our camp, our team, and then we're on one side, and then you have the Vargas camp, and there's a curtain, where the teams kind of hang out. And so I kind of go behind the curtain, and I see, and I love the guy now. We're good friends. His old manager, Rolando Arellano.
Yeah, he was a good dude. Mm-hmm.
I almost beat the shit out of him for at a press conference one day. Yeah, that's funny. When I was here in LA, when Vargas got up and he pushed Oscar.
Yeah.
We almost threw down. Me and Rolando almost threw down. But yeah, we're really good friends now. But anyhow, so I go behind the curtain, and I see Vargas, take off his shirt, and I see Rolando with the baby oil rubbing him down. getting him all glistened up, man, so he can be busting out with his muscle. Like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
going on. But yeah, I mean, he was ripped. The guy was ripped.
Yes. We were all in shock.
He was surprised himself, man, how ripped he was. But we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in shock, man. Me and my friends. Again, we were young at the time. I was only 18 at the time that fight happened, but like we watched all these fights and like, yeah, I was like, man, he looks way different this fight.
Strong too. He was strong.
Yeah. I just have a few more questions, then I'll hand off to Dave if you have any more. But I want to get into now Oscar's career now as a promoter. Not only was he a huge star, obviously one of the biggest stars in the history of the sport, but he had a chance to promote who is currently the number one guy in the sport in Canelo Alvarez. What was it like having somebody like Canelo under the Golden Boy promotion? Was you getting kind of those feels of your brother as well, or was it kind of not the same with Canelo?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think he does. I don't think he had that crossover appeal as much as my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely up there. I mean, he's huge. He's a superstar. He really is. He transcends boxing. But I think Oscar just took it to a different level. To be honest, he can fight a Joe Blow off the street, and I mean, Oscar did this a couple of times, and he sold out venues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he fought. Now, could Canelo do that now? I mean, he's fighting this kid Ryder,
Right?
But it's in his hometown.
Yeah,
Huge following. But yeah, he's up there. He's up there. He really put obviously did very well with Golden Boy. They did a really tremendous job with Canelo.
Yep.
Oscar and Eric and Roberto Diaz at the time, they did a great job with him, and obviously his team as well, Canelo's team, and they promoted him well, and that's his. I mean, you look at him and he doesn't look like a fighter. Like Oscar's a good-looking kid, redheaded kid, and he stands out, and the kid can fight. Kid can fight, and but I just think Oscar just not just because he's my brother, but I just think he took it just to another level beyond Canelo. Maybe he can get there. I'm not sure.
Who would have won?
But was a little stronger with Oscar.
Let me ask you this, who would have won between Oscar and Canelo if they would have fought prime for prime?
Well, prime, at what weight though is a thing. I mean, Oscar in his prime, I think I would say 140. I mean, Canelo at his prime at what, 168?
68, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of these dream matches. I just think Oscar's boxing ability.
Right.
I see it kind of like a Vargas fight, because Vargas was a freaking ox. He was strong, for being the way, similar weight classes.
Right.
He was just super strong, and Oscar was able to keep him off or keep him at bay with the jab and the 1-2s and his movement. Except in that first round where he almost pushed him out of the ring.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when he got him a little nick on his cheek.
That was a scary moment.
Yeah.
It's funny because we had Floyd Mayweather Sr. Working with us at that time.
Right.
And he was teaching Oscar the shoulder roll, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole camp. And I was telling Floyd, Oscar's not comfortable with it. It's not working out. It's not natural. He was doing that with his son, with Floyd Jr. He says when he was in the crib, right?
Right.
So natural for him. It's natural. The ironic part about that is that it came out instinctively in that first round.
Right.
On him, if you remember that, or you go back, he starts trying to roll. He clips him a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
But he's trying to roll. It just came out instinctively, which I thought it was funny, but it just looked out of place.
It did. It really did look out of place for him.
I feel like he was
out of that situation though. It really did.
Yeah. I feel like he was Oscar was like, I'll say this because I did think Oscar was going to beat Fernando that night, and when he had that little rally at the end of that round, the first round, I just remember Oscar going back to the corner, and the first thing that comes out of Oscar's mouth is he missed everything, and I was like, okay, He's good. He's sharp. He's seeing his punches. Yeah, he got clipped with a couple shots, but I was pretty confident after hearing him say that after the first round.
I run. I'm working the corner, right? Working his corner. And when I see him against the ropes and I see him like he's almost falling through, you could see me run across.
Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Me, ready to catch him because, none of these fools catch him.
Right.
So I'm like his older brother,
right,
ready to save him. And then I saw he was okay. And I clap and I go back to the corner. I go, okay, he's good. He's fine. He's fine. After that, it was like Oscar, was on cruise control. But then there was, some ebb and flows, like in the 7th, 8th, 9th round and stuff. But it was good. It was a great scrap, man. Great scrap.
I love that fight.
I wish I would have been there for the ride for Vargas on the way home, going home from that fight.
Oh.
Hey, it turned out differently because check this out. I don't know if you guys know this. So when Oscar drops him, right? What, in the 11th round?
11th round,
yes.
Yeah.
And he does a little shuffle.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
A little Ali shuffle. So I'm in the corner, and from my vantage point, all I see is Joe Cortez's back. I'm thinking he waved off the fight.
Oh, that's what you're asking me, G Funky, today. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, Robert Garcia made us think about it. Robert Garcia was working with him.
Right.
Yeah. And they were trying to DQ Oscar because
Yes.
Kind of getting up on the mat on the ring. And I got pulled down, from the security guards, and I ended up getting handcuffed. And I didn't get to celebrate in the ring, the victory. I was
man.
I was out in the tunnel, handcuffed, watching, from where the fighters come out from through the tunnel by the dressing room. So, so I could see what's going on. But there's a couple cops, and I'm handcuffed. And then here comes my lawyer. He goes, "Hey, what's going on?" I think they thought I was just some crazy nut trying to get up on the ring or something. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, but he could have got disqualified. I got a little overexcited there, man, because I thought Cortez I thought he called it off. From my vantage, right. He called it off. And and then with all the emotions flowing and the adrenaline, I'm like, it's over. So I'm getting up, and nope, you're out of here, boy. Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is this guy right here who's in the chat, Run PMC. He texted me about that. He goes, "Do you remember that time when he jumped in the ring and they were trying to DQ Oscar?" And like, I could not remember for the life of me what fight that was. And
Oscar, my brother, he's looking around, like, because usually I'll pick him up, I'll lift him, I'll hug him.
Right.
The first one he goes up to, right? And he was looking around, and then I think it was Joe, one of the guys that worked us. He goes, "Oh, I think they took him. They handcuffed him," and he's like, "Okay. All right." That was hilarious, man. Funny.
Oscar's like, "You're not gonna take my moment, man."
Right.
That's great.
So, do you have any more questions, Dave? Because I got just one more, man, then we'll let him go.
Go ahead. I got just one more after you. Go ahead, though.
Okay, so I just want to ask you. This is my last question of the night. Well, and this has been great, man. I really enjoyed this. But again, to go back to right now, where we're at present day, big fight this Saturday. I want to know your prediction. I want to know who you got and how do you and why do you pick that fighter to win?
I want a good fight, right? There's all this buildup. I want a good fight. I don't want to blow out. I want a good fight, good competitive fight. Obviously, I want Ryan for Golden Boy's sake. First and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Tank is, a different animal, to be honest. But Ryan, he's got that flash. He's got that speed. He's got that timing that can cause some issues if he knows how to use it right. I think if he overcommits, I think Tank takes him out. If he overcommits. If he can stay disciplined with that length that he has and coax him in, feint him, catch him coming in, maybe counter him, then maybe later rounds, maybe he wins the decision, maybe he can catch him late in the fight. But I think the fight's early for Tank, to be honest. If Ryan overcommits with his punches, because he's a little too straight up for me, for my liking. Ryan is.
Yeah.
That's there, and he relies on that speed, on that timing. which is, I mean, it's tremendous. That left hook is just, it's crazy how fast and how perfect he throws it every time. You know, it's all time. It's all speed. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And if Tank, and I'm sure they did, the team, you know, they have a game plan for that to nullify that. If they nullify that left hook, then there's going to be issues for Ryan. You know, middle of the, you know, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th round. But if Ryan can stay disciplined, and I hope he does again for Golden Boy's sake, you know, I'm really rooting for the kid. I like the kid. You know, if he can keep him at bay, and if he can find a way to catch him coming in, because I think he's going to try to, you know, Tank is going to try to stay away from that. Because that's I mean, that's a lethal left hook, especially, you know, it's that punch you don't see coming that does the most damage.
Right.
And Ryan has that punch. And Tank says he only has that left hand. Ryan, he can punch with both hands, you know. So I think he's got something up his sleeve. I'm sure Joe Goosen and him worked on, you know, they got something, you know, juicy, you know, brewing. But to be honest, I just want a great competitive fight. Again, I'm siding with Ryan for Golden Boy's sake, but I think Tank is just on a different level. I think opponent-wise, experience-wise, a little more active. And the kid's a dog. That guy's a dog, man. He's a dog. Although Ryan did show some of that, you know, in that Campbell fight.
Right.
Yes.
Pretty good. He got clipped pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
But he when he got back up, and he goes back and he goes right after Campbell. If you remember that, he went right after.
Yeah, he adjusted fairly well with that Campbell. He didn't allow Campbell to you know, repeat it.
Yeah. The only thing, wait, you know, let's see how the weight plays out. You know, they're talking about that arbitration clause thing. You know what? I heard somewhere, I think it was him or his dad, Ryan's, may have been Joe Goosen, that he doesn't even get, you know, above 10 pounds anyhow. And I think that's what they wanted, 10 pounds. He's going to weigh in the morning. Like, he's going to get a chance, an opportunity to, you know, rehydrate anyhow. So if he doesn't get too heavy after, you know, normal weigh-in, then he should be fine. And I think he'll be fine anyways, unless you see him passing out in the weigh-in, you know, tomorrow. Then that's all. Right. But he looks healthy. He actually looks pretty good. You know, they're both, you know, they're both obviously, you know, coming down in weight, and they're both a little sucked in. But the eyes don't lie. Who said it? I think it was Al Pacino and Scarface. Chico,
the eyes
don't lie.
That's right.
And Ryan looks they're not sunken in. Tank looks good as well. So I think they're managing everything accordingly. And but we'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow how they both look. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. My last question for you is, Oscar's persona in the beginning was the clean-cut Mexican-American kid. Whose idea was that, and how satisfying was it for Oscar, or even you close to him, for him to finally kind of let loose later on in life, man? You know, because we used to watch him, bro, and he would talk, and I swear we'd be like, "Come on, Oscar, just drop the F-bomb, just one time, just do it for us, eh?" And he would never come through. But now that we're older, I'm like, yeah, he's Raza, man. He's one of us. He's one of us.
No, we you know, behind the cameras, behind the scenes, you know, we just, this is me. This is who I am. You know, and see, that's who my brother is. Yeah. But back then, you know, I mean, obviously he didn't have the experience, you know, in front of a camera with it. And, you know, he was a little shyer. You know, he wasn't able to elaborate like he does now, and kind of let loose. And yeah, that was kind of the image he was portraying. But at the same time, that was him. That was us. That's who he genuinely was. Now he says, you know what? I lived my life. I did what I did. I sacrificed all these years. I'm just doing me now, man. And that's who he is. And he's always been like that to us. But like for yourselves and everyone else that's never seen that side, you know, they're like, oh shit, you know, he's going on he's on a rampage, or he's, you know, he's crazy. What's going on, man? No, that's just, he's just being his genuine himself now, you know, and you know, he's not making any apologies for any of that. I mean, and I don't blame him, because he's been doing this since he was 5 years old, man. 5 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was an image that he had to, you know, live up to or portray. But that's just who he was. But again, he like you said, the clean cut, the happy-go-lucky kid, respectful, but that's who he was. But you get
Absolutely.
your buddies, you're hanging out, and you got a little money, and the chicas are coming in, and what have you.
Right.
Uh,
Hey,
and
hey, let me ask.
well, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna be
Right.
myself. Yeah, and you see who you see now is who's Oscar, who he's been
Right.
since I've known him. To be honest, it's just that he had to, in a sense, in a way, portray that image.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's when you see him, talking or bullshitting, whatever. That's him. That's
Right.
him.
Right. So let me ask you, because I gotta tell you, well, do you guys' mannerism, even the way you talk, everything, dude, bro, you guys like mirror each other.
Yeah.
And I've heard this a lot
I've heard that.
Yeah. But I've heard this a lot in the business world when they've had to do phone interviews. Let me ask you, did you ever substitute for Oscar sometimes because he was too busy?
Wait a minute. Now that you mention it, you know what? I think I did once.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Long time ago. He might have been in the bathroom or something. Yeah. I think we're up in Big Bear or something. He goes, "Hey, take this call." Boom. Because they used to, we used to get calling all the time, on the phone, and yeah, I might have played it off, but I think I told him, "Hey man, it's Joel. I'm just messing with you." And he goes, "Oh, you're going." But I think it was one of the local scribes from out here in LA. May have been who was it? I forget who it was, but I did do it once.
That's hilarious. Well,
my bro was in the bathroom though. He was in the bathroom.
We got some fans in the chat saying that they want you to bring.
He was expecting, so I had to pick up.
Right.
We got some fans in the chat asking if we can get your brother on next time. I mean, hey, I don't know. That would be great, but I know the man's busy.
It doesn't hurt to ask, man.
Right. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. Well, man. Oh, go ahead.
It's just in my closing here, bro, is thank you guys for all the great memories. All the great memories in the 90s. And, I show my kids all of Oscar's fights. My favorite welterweight fight in the 90s was Oscar versus Corte. I think it was the greatest fight, man. To this day. What a beautiful fight, man. I mean, both guys had phenomenal jabs. It was a great fight.
Electricity in that arena that night. Oh my goodness. It was Corte had his own percussion section.
Yeah. I remember that.
Up in the nosebleed somewhere, man, and you could hear them banging away on the drums and their cymbals, and it was just electrifying throughout, man. It was such a great fight, such a great event. What a great ending to that fight, too. Oscar just
man, yeah.
And letting it all hang out, man. It was unbelievable. And great jab by Corte, man. Power
bazooka.
Piston-like jab, man. Bazooka-like jab, man. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, hey, again, man, we got to get you back on in the future.
Sure.
Because, I mean, like I said, we could talk so much. I know you got so many stories to share with us. And this has been great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the support, man. Thank you for backing my brother. Really appreciate it, man. Obviously, without you guys, I mean, we wouldn't be where we're at. And we really appreciate that. And I'm sure, sentiments the same with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing Diego back at it next week, too, man.
Next week on the zone. Against Victor Morales. Don't miss it. It's gonna be a great fight. It's a make it or break it fight. So he's gonna let it all hang out for sure.
Yep. Great. Yep, for sure. And we'll be watching that one. And of course, we'll be watching the big fight this weekend. And hey, enjoy, man. We're all gonna have a.
Who you guys like? Who you guys siding with?
Oh man,
Be honest.
I share a lot of the same sentiments you do about the fight, man. I do.
Yeah, I think we both do. I mean, I'm leaning more with Tank.
Okay.
Because of some of the things that you mentioned, which I don't like that Ryan does, is that the chin up in the air, and also the inactivity that really bothers me.
I hate making predictions because you just never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Larry Merchant said, it's a theater of the the unexpected.
Unexpected.
Never know what's gonna happen, and I hate making predictions. I just kind of like breaking down what each guy has.
Right.
Their advantages, disadvantages. And that's how I see it. That's how I see it playing out. But I just hope it's a great fight for the fans and boxing.
Exactly.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Well, hey, man, we're gonna let you go. Thank you once again for your time, man.
Thank
Great
you all.
stuff.
Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank
Oh,
you so much.
okay.
Have
Yes,
a good one, man. Wow. Give him a hand. Wow.
What a
was
great
great.
dude, man.
That was great, man.
Yeah, it's like having
yep.
a couple of beers with just a friend there, you know, that just
Yep.
happens to be the brother of one of the great
one of
Mexican
the great
American
fighters of all
champions.
times.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
all times. Yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable, man. And we're gonna get him on again
You know what
because
I know.
yeah.
I know. Because I had like you said, dude, we had a lot of questions. Like my next
Yeah.
question was gonna be, how excited were you guys when Vargas got dropped by Trinidad in the first round? You know what I mean? I wanted to ask him that, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save it for the next time we get him on, because definitely would like to get him on about his thoughts about the aftermath of this fight between Tank and
of course Diego De La Hoya, who will be fighting the next week after. So absolutely, man. I would love to get him on. I love shooting the breeze like that, just flowing, and I mean,
yeah,
beautiful stuff, man. Dave, thanks for coming on and doing this with me, man.
Absolutely,
and thank
brother.
all of you guys in the chat for being here. Don't forget, hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Let everybody know where they can find you, Ruff.
You can find me here with G Funky.
Yeah, you can find him on Twitter as well at what's the handle? Is that Leave It in the Ring?
It's LIITR boxing.
There you go. On Twitter. Check my man out there. And like I told you guys, man, we're gonna be bringing that fire. All right, we're gonna be bringing it. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live. All right. For my man 97 Ruff, this is G Funky Boxing. We're out. See you guys on the next one.